was just scrolling through my phone at pictures, you know, when like your photo app reminds you of like on this day, remember this day or whatever. I do not recognize that person 2 years ago, even a year ago. It's so sad to think how much our life and our mindset has shifted to where we are right now, whether that's positive or negative. Like, who are we? Who are you? Who are you inside? By yourself, solitude. When you're by yourself, who are you? I think that's what we struggle with all the time, is figuring out who we are as a person. And I've been struggling with that for years. And I didn't know that until maybe 3-4 years ago. A little after having my son, I questioned my identity. I questioned if I was even good enough, if I even belonged on this earth. It's so crazy to look back and to think a picture, literally, like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I felt that completely. Looking at the smiles on my face, I was looking at, like, I knew the exact feeling I was feeling in that picture too. Even though I am smiling in that picture, I was miserable. I was broken. I was done. I was done. Checked out. You couldn't tell me anything else. I was checked out completely. Don't know how or where we come with, like, what makes that happen. You know what I mean? Like, what is the start of that? For one, social media, definitely. Because even if you're not on social media, you're on your phone, something pops up. It's the devices. It's the feeling like we have to have it every day, 24/7, when it's nothing that is that important. Social media was killing my brain, because I remember when I was pregnant, I was breastfeeding, and oh my God, I was on TikTok forever, scrolling, just aimlessly scrolling, because I was like, there's nothing better to do. I'm just pumping and I'm breastfeeding, and I'm like, let me go on my phone, right? And then we see something that we don't want to see. We see something that reminds us of something. We compare. It's in our human nature to compare. You might not be the comparer, but it's literally human nature. Let's be real. I go back to feeling like, who are we? Social media is causing the feeling of our identity shift, because we're seeing things that we gravitate towards. But is it something that we're actually gravitating towards? Like, are we really like sure this is the life that we want, or we're just seeing it because someone else has it? And that's not life. That's not reality. That's type of like syndrome. But if it's not social media, then it's, how were you raised? Who were you around? How are your relationships with yourself, with your spouse, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, with your parents, your friends, anybody you surround yourself with? How is that relationship? Honestly, it says a lot about your character as well. So crazy that all these things could stem from, like, us being, like, us questioning who we are can stem from everything I just mentioned. We don't notice it in the beginning, and after a while we start to see the shift in ourselves. We start to feel the depletedness. We start to feel the depression. We start to feel sad. We can't do the things that we used to do. We're not as happy as we used to be. We don't enjoy life as much. You're thinking negative thoughts about yourself now, when that never was the case. And you start to think, like, where did this come from? How is this happening? And you start going into a spiral, and you're like, who the heck am I? This is not who I know. I used to laugh at stuff like that. I used to be okay with stuff like this. Now I'm so irritable. Now I am just so annoying to people because I'm angry all the time. Finding out who we are is so important. Finding out why we are the way we are, and then who we are on top of that. Because it could take a while, y'all. Like, I'm figuring this out. I'm figuring out little by little who I am. It's going to take an emotional toll on you, whether that's within yourself or your partner or whoever. You start to see things that you don't like. You start to become aware of things that you didn't realize. You start to face challenges, and you kind of tell yourself, like, that, I don't really like that. It's okay to express that, and it's okay to be so truthful with yourself, because maybe someone else might not like that, and now they might feel like, okay, well, you're not the person that like I thought that you were, because like this, you telling me this, I would have never even wanted to get to know you, or I would have never even befriended you if I knew this was about you. But that's the beauty of trying to figure out who you are. I hope it made sense, because I'm kind of like trying to figure out what I'm saying in my head and like saying it out loud. So I feel like, yeah, that's the beauty of figuring out who you are, showing up for yourself. Like, who are you when you look in the mirror? Who do you aspire to be? Showing up for yourself and telling yourself things that you do and do not like, because finding yourself little by little, like I mentioned, is going to be an emotional battle, and I did not think that it was going to be this hard. I've been on the struggle bus for a few years. I've been emotionally struggling, feeling like I'm lost in life. But I find it so beautiful to feel like we are taking the time to actually figure ourselves out. And, you know, I come into counter recently that certain people are going to understand that. Certain people are going to be okay with the fact that you need to find who you are. And the ones that aren't okay with it is probably, in my case, because you're not putting as much attention as you used to them anymore. Whether that's a friendship, a relationship, anything that matters to you, yeah, you started putting effort to yourself. You started showing up for yourself, and they're not loving that no more, because they're like, whoa, what's going on? You used to be all over me. You used to try to figure out what I'm doing, hang out with me. You used to try to be this, do that, do that. But now you stopped. Oh, you changed. Oh, you're different. Yeah, I might be different, because I'm not the same person you met like 5-6 years ago. I mean, we can have a whole friendship for 20 years. I'm not gonna be the same person. Like, you have to expect that. People don't like change, and I understand that, and I get it. I mean, it's uncomfortable. Not that I don't like it, but it's uncomfortable until you get used to it, right? So we don't want to feel like this person is changing in front of us, because that's not who I met you. That's not how I met you. That's not who the person I started to get to know. But it's inevitable to change. I'm learning new things. I'm going through different challenges in my life. I'm having a child, you know, getting married. We go through different life things like everybody does. And those situations change you as a person. It's something that is inevitable. Like, that is never going to not change. We're evolving into another person. And the people who are not sitting okay with that are going to be left behind. Because if you can't understand that I need to figure out who I am, and now I'm giving you less time, then maybe we weren't just meant for each other at all. Maybe our friendship shouldn't have lasted as long as we should have. Maybe our relationship shouldn't have lasted as long as we forced it to be. Because sometimes, let's be real, we are forcing things to be the case, when we know darn well things should have ended a long time ago. We keeping things alive for what reason when it's already dead? Paint me that picture. Just want to encourage you guys that it's okay to go through what you're going through. Because I'm sure like 90% of the population is. It's not just you. It's not just me. And sometimes we have to hear that it's not just us. It's not just you or me going through it. Like, we want to know that everybody else is feeling this way, not in a negative way, but in a way to relate, in a way to find positivity through these people's stories and experiences, to know that you're going to be okay. To know that this is what I went through, and look where I'm at, and I'm better than ever. It's okay to walk away, to figure out who you are as a person. Looking back at the pictures as well, I wanted to mention, I felt like, dang, like, I can't go back in time, obviously. Knowing what I was going through 2 or 3 years ago, I could have prevented what's happening now, because I knew how I was feeling in that moment. But like I said, we try to keep things alive when they're already dead. Why force? Why keep forcing when it's gone? It's done. And when you are mentally checked out, when you are just completely like, I'm so indifferent about things, When you just really don't care anymore, that right there is when you need to go. Someone gotta go. Life could be so much better, but we're scared. Like I mentioned earlier, the change is uncomfortable and we're scared to make that move, which is very understandable, but it has to happen eventually, because next thing you know, 2 years pass, another year pass. I know y'all don't want to be sitting in the same situation you're in another year. Yet another probably another 2 months, 2 weeks. I know I don't. I have to be so real with you guys. I've been telling myself that I'm gonna move out. I say things for reasons. Y'all don't need to agree. But I am all up for two people being able to still be together in separate homes, being married. And you might be like, what? Girl, you crazy. Maybe, but I haven't done it yet for me to try that it works. But that's the problem. I haven't done it yet. And I've been saying that I would want to do that. So I'm all up for taking that time for yourself, because that's where I come back into feeling like, who am I at the end of the day? I say living separately as a suggestion because I knew that I was questioning who I was back 3-4 years ago when I suggested it. If we can't figure this out, maybe we can figure it out separately. And that is trying to make a compromise. It might not be okay with everybody else. It might not make sense to everybody else, but whatever works for you and whoever you're, and just for you, should be the case. That's it. Knowing who you are at the end of the day is so much more important than trying to keep a relationship afloat. We're tearing each other down. I'm tearing myself down for trying to balance the relationship and then balance how I feel about myself and trying to figure out who I am in the meantime. When I started to realize, this is what I mentioned earlier too, like realizing things that you didn't know about yourself until recently, started to figure out that I'm not sure if I'm good at balancing, trying to figure out who I am, trying to focus on me, and trying to focus on a relationship. For me, it's like me comes first all the way, of course. But like I mentioned as well, like certain people are not gonna like that. If I encouraged you to try to do something about yourself, finally prioritize yourself in a way that you never have. Take yourself out, do something that you've never done, something inside of you that you've been wanting to do. The feeling that you have inside of you is there for a reason, you guys. It's not something that we just make up. I don't like it when people tell me why I'm feeling a certain way, like, why would you feel that? Or why would you think I would do that? Or, basically just like calling you out on how crazy you are. And I always come back and I'm like, well, what's the reason why I am thinking this then? I can't just make up this feeling. It's the way I'm feeling. Something happened to where it sparked that feeling in my body, in my gut. You are way important than anything, anybody else, any situation, your job that pays you a lot of money, but you're miserable. Like anything in those factors, a relationship that looks so good on paper, but you guys are failing. Because don't let the money and don't let the lifestyle fool you. You're not happy. That's it. You're not happy.
I'm finished, so I want a snack.
Okay. Love you. Sorry if I was rambling. I just saw my photos and I was like, oh my god, this is like a memory that I want to share with you guys. The feeling that I had looking at my photos, I wanted to share that experience, and it reminded me of who I'm not. I didn't recognize who that person was. And I think we've all probably will or have gone through that feeling. We spread positive vibes here, and if I encourage you guys to try to find your own peace, let me know, and maybe even tell me ways on how you guys are doing it so I can do that for myself. And if you guys have any ways to figure out how you maintain your peace and you maintain trying to figure out who you are, and little things that you guys might do to make yourself feel better and to get to know the person inside of you more, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to this video. If you did like it, please give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.
And if we go and shadow, and if we go and shadow, and if we go and shadow, 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 shadow.